What do you have to do to get called to make commercials this captivating? Jesse James McElroy is known for crafting spots you simply can't look away from. Complex choreography.
The camera and the choreography had to work in tandem.
Elaborate camera moves.
I wanted this guy to throw up a pickle and ingest it, and we'd follow it down.
Wacky, realistic characters.
Every single person that came in to that day, we'd take a photo. I probably destroyed my life in that week to basically pre-visualize the exact wardrobe, the exact hair and makeup, and the exact prosthetics.
Every single one a masterclass in controlled chaos.
It actually looks like them.
Yeah, exactly.
And for this one in particular, involving a pickle.
This pickle like twitching here. How did you guys do this?
Well, for this shot, we had a silicone mold built of pickles, and then we could rod puppet it through the jar.
He tells us how he literally brought it to life in just 2 days.
I call him a shoot-o-matic. The shoot was essentially, paint by numbers in a way.
Dude knows how to prep.
I knew the exact length of the shot. I mean, this shot's 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds.
I mean, he showed up to set with a pre-vis that ended up matching the final to the frame.
2 of the shots we shot in the bigger room, the taller room, and we just dragged that.
You tore it all down and then put it up in a different room and then did it again?
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
This show is made possible in part by viewers like you, and obviously FrameSet, which is where you go to develop your ideas before you shoot them. Search for the perfect references and use them to build a pitch that will win you the project of your dreams. It's also totally free to get started, so check the link below. Okay, thanks.
Jesse James McElroy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, dude. This looked like a fun one.
Certainly was. It was a really, really fun, creative, crazy project.
I just want to start off by asking, I understand the use of a pre-vis, a shoot-o-matic, board-o-matic, crap-o-matic, whatever you call it, but this one was near one-to-one comparison. How did you have the time and resources to make it that good?
This project, it's essentially a music video, pretending to be an ad.
Sure.
So very early on, I pitched to the agency and they were, super into it, that we don't do this sort of rigid storyboard model. Storyboards are cool, but they don't really show any action and they're kind of frozen. And I think on a job like this, if we did storyboards, it would actually be a hindrance to the project because a lot of people would have any idea what's happening. And then we get to set and everybody's just like, this is what it is.
Yeah. So
I think the camera and the choreography had to work in tandem and have kind of synergy between them. A lot of the time, working with a choreographer, we would create a dance element that would work. I would see it and then I would shoot it, or vice versa. I would think of camera movements and then we'd sort of design the choreo around that.
Yeah.
So I would use my iPhone on set and I would shoot the shots. The first rehearsal, actually, I had no idea going in. Normally on a job, I would storyboard it and I would have really strong viewpoints. So even when, we've all seen the classic crap-o-matic where you go to set on the tech recce and you have your grip and gaffer and they stand, you sort of try and get them to act and it kind of looks a bit dodgy, but you're probably testing out the pacing and the blocking, I suppose. You're not really testing out anything else. The coolest thing on this is we had the dancers and they could perform. First time I came to rehearsal, I had no idea how this thing was gonna come together. And I just started in shot 1 and I went from shot 1. Hello. Is this live? Yes.
Hello. Hello. I think it's pretty cool that you decided to do the rehearsals that you have to do anyway. Instead of doing them in a dance hall, you did them on the actual location that you were going to shoot it.
The first couple we did in a dance studio, so we didn't have the location at all. I'd scouted that location, so I kind of knew where I wanted to place things. But later on, in the later rehearsals, we did it at the location, and then I could really lock in these ideas.
Well, let's talk about the casting process here, because I know you've got some pretty interesting characters here.
I think the thing that was definitely in my treatment and what I worked on a lot was making sure that all these characters, on any job that I do in the past, I've created I've written a treatment with all these interesting characters. I've given them like names and I've like said they're like this type of person or this type of person. And I think what happens on a project is you win the job and then you cast, and then the day before the shoot you do wardrobe fittings. And actually creating a character happens like, a couple of days before the shoot. Wardrobe is tricky with any job, right? Because everybody dresses themselves, so everybody has a sense of their own fashion. As we all know, it's probably the hardest thing to get through. And wardrobe's such a big part of a character. Not only that, but hair and makeup, which you never really do until the shoot day. And by that point, everything's moving so fast, it's hard to even work on that. So I wanted to figure out a way on this job to do it right and make sure we could create characters that were very memorable, very unique, and you understood every stereotype very quickly. We're only spending a bit of time with these people. We needed to quickly get them. So what we did is on the casting, every single person that came in to that day, we'd take a photo, full frame of their face and their body. That allowed me to spend a crazy amount of time to figure out who's going to play who. Nobody came into the rehearsals thinking, okay, this is that person, this is that person. It was just an open cast. I had these characters in my treatment in terms of what I'd written. I had like a tradesperson, bikers, barfly kind of characters, but I didn't know who was going to do it. So then I spent probably like a week, like pretty full on. I probably destroyed my life in that week to basically pre-visualize every single character and the exact wardrobe, the exact hair and makeup I wanted, and the exact prosthetics that I wanted. And then, so I showed the agency. The ones you have here, that's where we sort of ended up. I presented to the agency a few different versions. They were still the same character, but different wardrobe and hair options. And then, collaborate with the agency in exactly which way we'd go with that. So I almost did like a wardrobe fitting in a way. And then I used that to show everybody that would needed to get this wardrobe or create the prosthetics. I think the reason that it was so good was the fact that we were sort of collaborating, and this is because it was a prosthetics job and a dance job. We had 6 weeks of pre-production on this job, and I did it probably week 2. And because I did that, we could also show the dancers, and that was really cool that they knew who they're going to become. I presented each of their looks. Every time we did a rehearsal, they kind of knew who they are and what sort of way they'd walk and their gait and how they move.
Yeah, and also, it actually looks like them, that they can see themselves in this wardrobe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was such a good process to clean that sort of normal ad filmmaking process up that, we got lock off from agency and client, and we could go into that exact wardrobe, find that exact wig, do that exact prosthetics. It wasn't us collating all these things and kind of trying to make it work on the day before the shoot. We just basically found what we needed to, and we didn't have to waste time. And as you can see, it matched exactly that. We had a lock off from all the people that needed to lock off, and we could just go straight into it. So it was just a thing that we did early, so we didn't have to worry about it later. You can show hair and makeup what the wardrobe's going to be like, or you can show prosthetics what the hair and makeup's going to look like. So it kind of just made every department have a clear mission, and we know what we needed to do.
Yeah, because also when I'm looking at, let's talk about prosthetics. Had you had prior experience working with prosthetics on shoots like this?
Yeah, I guess I'm lucky. I'm lucky on jobs that a lot of my jobs are kind of quite, what's the best use of a better word, weird or peculiar. I'm lucky to be able to build like puppets and animatronics and do prosthetics and things like that. So yeah, I've had experience before. I've never had experience on a job like this where we're basically trying to create very realistic humans. I was always worried that, with this type of thing, this is the hardest prosthetic to do in my experience. You're trying to make somebody look old or add weight to them, and that can have that uncanny valley feeling, or it can not look right, but it doesn't work. And working with the team at Odd Studios who did the prosthetics on this, they did a stellar job to make these people look how we wanted them to.
Yeah, that was like one of my questions is like the prosthetic jobs. You're not making some kind of monster creature that only exists. That these are people that I've seen before that exist in the real life. So my question is, why didn't you just cast people that actually look like this?
Well, that came down to purely, generally cool dancers are young and, in shape. And we needed people that weren't
yeah.
that, and this is a thing that, our choreographer Vanessa, really honed in on and made it very clear is you can't just get an actor, teach them how to dance in a couple of rehearsals. It's never going to work. Dancers are very skilled and they can pick up choreography really quickly and they can move their body in very interesting ways and they're skilled operators,
Yeah, I mean, this shot here, I'm trying to imagine if this guy were actually this old, he probably wouldn't be able to move around like this.
No, definitely not. Working with dancers is so cool because they're so positive. They'll kind of just push through and make it work. And I think putting prosthetics on people is challenging. It can get quite claustrophobic and hot and you're moving your body so much and it's uncomfortable and you've got to see this thing all day. And they did such a great job, I think, yeah.
Well, dude, I want to move on to like the movie magic of some of this in terms of camera movement. I mean, you had a variety of camera movement toys. I mean, Steadicam, gimbals, gym arms, a dolly, classic handheld, even a motion control robot, dude. You seem to like take a page of every book here.
It does sound extreme, doesn't it? when you say it like that. It all came from the rehearsal shootomatics. I would film it on my iPhone. I would piece it together on iMovie live with the dancers on the rehearsals and show everybody so we could see it with the timing and have an instant ability to see what we're doing. And then, I worked with Aaron and, our DP and the script team to sort of figure out what we needed for each shot.
Yeah. Real quick, I mean, how many shoot days did you have to pull all this off?
This is a 2-day shoot.
Okay, that's crazy. How did you effectively schedule all these very technical setups in just 2 days?
I mean, I'm going to keep going back to that thing of pre-shooting it meant that we had practiced it enough and rehearsed it enough. I knew the exact length of the shot. I mean, this shot's 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds. So the shoot was essentially, paint by numbers in a way in terms of us, okay, here's this 3-second shot, let's get this, the dancers knew what they needed to do and everybody kind of knew what they needed to do because it was such a strong blueprint. I think the thing that, working with First AD, Adam connected all the pieces together and made sure there was another whole complication with prosthetics. Some of these people took 3-4 hours to get them into. And then as every shoot goes, there was a photography arm and a social arm that was independent. So, Adam and Melissa Weinman, the producer, kind of worked on just bringing that together, yeah. But, if there wasn't a Pre-vis done, there's no way that I think we could have done it in 2 days. I don't think it would have been possible. I mean, I generally shoot kind of fast. I kind of tend to know what I want and I can probably move days a bit quicker. But still, it was a tough what we did, and right at the end, I think some of these shots we got 1 or 2 takes, and we had to move on. Yeah.
Let's take a minute and talk about this motion control robot situation. I mean, do you think this type of technology is getting more accessible?
Yeah, definitely. Any place I shoot around the world, there's a robot in some way. I mean, they're all kind of custom built, and they all come from different places. The specific robots we used on this was a high-speed motion control. I think they call it the Stretch. It's a D2 motion robot, so it's not on track. The one we had, it's just this long arm, and we had it for the end shot, which we needed the camera to go very quickly to this guy's mouth.
Nice. Let's break that shot down just for a second. Walk me through it. I mean, the shot in mind is a pretty cool one, pretty simple one. But how did you guys bring it to life with this thing?
Well, I think it just came from the treatment where I wanted, this guy to throw up a pickle and ingest it, and we'd follow it down. I love that shot in Lord of the Rings where like Frodo falls on his back and the ring kind of comes up to camera, and then we see the ring from the top, and it goes down and it goes on his finger. So it's almost a homage to that in a way, and it was a nice ending that felt that we could see the pickle and travel with it. So it was always in my imagination. I think it's something I probably thought of right at the start of the project. And I think I knew from that, when I came up with it, that was going to be a robot shot. I don't think there was any question about it.
No, that makes sense. I mean, while we're talking about the pickle, which is the main character of this spot, I mean, you guys literally brought it to life in a few different ways. So I want to go shot by shot, and you just tell me how you guys brought the pickle to life. This pickle like twitching here. How did you guys do this?
We needed a lot of pickles kind of made in terms of for different uses. So for this shot, we had a silicone molds built of pickles, and we kind of then had the ability to do a rod puppet inside them, and then we could kind of rod puppet it through the jar. So we made a hole in the jar, and then we had a rod in, and then it was the simple rod popper that you kind of do that, and it kind of just wiggles. We had other pickles as you saw there. So we found big pickles, real pickles, but they were big. I wanted this shot where we're sort of inside the jar, and we kind of, the sound kind of goes out and we hear the kind of underwater feeling, and as our hero pulls out the pickle. I wanted to actually build them in silicone. Budget became an issue, so we actually found, large pickles that we could then sheet the scale, and we put them in this little aquarium tank, and we had I think it was like a 24 mil periscope probe lens that we put in the water. And then we worked with Jason True to make this kind of pickle rig, essentially connected to the base plate of the camera. Our hero holding it, and then both Aaron, our DP, and the hero would sort of run around the room, and we'd clear the full set so there can't be any lighting or any crew, because they would just run around. And there's some crazy, funny BTS of them running around, like hitting things and just trying to make the shot really crazy. And then we did the opposite of that, which we then, same rig, I think that's Aaron's hand, and he's just running around.
Dude, what about this shot? How did you get the pickle to spin in his finger like that?
Well, that shot was interesting because that shot I wanted a moment where the pickle was on the ground. I really thought it was very funny to have the pickle, like this pickle on this kind of stained floor in the bar. I was trying to figure out a way, how can this person drop the pickle, right? Because that's the only way I can kind of have that moment. So that was a shot that came out of the last rehearsal, and it was just a quick thing we sort of figured out that, because originally I had him running and dropping it, and it just always felt fake. And I think working with Jesse and Vanessa, we just figured out a way he could be kind of just standing there, and he can be spinning the pickle in a kind of a heightened way. We didn't want to make him doing something that anybody can do. Boring answer, it's CG. We built a rig. The rig kind of never worked out, but we shot it as reference, which is a great thing to use on CG. I always try and shoot some sort of reference.
Yeah. I want to break down this scene. I mean, in one shot, we've got like this air cannon blowing a door open and then a fireball. Can you just tell me to the best recollection that you have of how you guys made this work?
So this was we had a lock-off. So it was I think the first moment in this commercial, there was a lock-off shot. So we wanted to cut to a scene that wasn't affected by the pickle energy yet. And then, the door then burst open, the music comes in, and then this cook starts dancing. And I wanted the fireball because, I wanted a realistic way of why the sprinklers turned on. The pop stars are always dancing in water, right? You always that's how you end a music video. But I didn't want it to just them turning on. I wanted a reason why it turned on. And because we had this evolving feeling in the commercial of things getting crazier and crazier, it allowed us to, add in this chef character and have this moment of a fireball coming and then the sprinklers turning off. So the way we did this is we made a door that basically the effects team just kicked it open like the FBI would, and then there was a fan behind that we wanted some, use of a better word, trash or papers and plastic, just so you never really see wind, right? So you need to communicate that to the audience. So there was the feeling of stuff rushing through.
Yeah.
And then we had our effects team hook up a gas cylinder, and then they lit it, and then these fireballs.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the water moment, the water scene. How did you convince the location to let you do this?
Well, this location was awesome because they not only allowed us to film there, which is really cool. Well, actually, let me go back. Originally in my treatment, I pitched of building a bar. I wanted to build a bar for three reasons. Firstly, we wanted to really bring a lot of character into a place, and a very specific look and a unique look that didn't feel like every bar that you see in every ad, right? That was the first thing. Secondly, we wanted to, screw it up. We wanted to, add water, and we wanted to have fire, and we wanted to have people hanging on fans at that point, and we wanted a whole bunch of stuff to happen. So we needed a place that we could kind of destroy. And then the last reason is I wanted to have my own bar. Okay, I wanted to, go there and have a few drinks.
Yeah.
So that's what we originally pitched, but then as projects go, things evolved and changed, and we had to sort of pivot to shooting on location, which I was like, oh no, we're never going to find the right place. And I'll hand on my heart, like this location was exactly what I was thinking of kind of building. So when we found it, I was like, well, this is great. And normally when you find a location that's awesome, like they're really tricky, it's very expensive, it's very hard to work with them, they're not into things. It's like it's probably the furthest away, it's the most expensive, it's all that sort of stuff,
There's
right?
always something, yeah.
There's always something, right? It's like the perfect location, but there's like something that's like, logistically it's a nightmare. But this, I think it's worth saying, and definitely from, Melissa, producer on this job, is that we found a location that was very collaborative and allowed us to do many, many things. So we had some of our later rehearsals in the space. They were super open to everything we did and worked with us to make it work. So, we assured them that with the water that we wouldn't ruin the joint. And working once again with some super cool special effects team, they put down a sort of a rubber matting that would have pumps in it to pump out the water.
Whoa, cool.
And our production designer Ruby found carpet that matched exactly. So we put that added carpet on top of it, and then the rubber matting would suck up the water. It worked kind of perfectly.
That's sick. I mean, my first question is like, okay, where's all this water going? It's got to go somewhere. So you're saying that there's a plastic mat that sucks up and pumps the water out as it comes in?
Yeah, well, we put down plastic below that, and then the rubber mat would go on, and then that would then suck up the water. And then, after takes, then they would come in with some sort of water vacuums as well to bring it out as well. But yeah, and then we installed our own, fire sprinklers and with a water tank out at the front of the bar, and we would then, push out the water. Yeah, it actually worked really well, and it was very fast, and they set it up really fast, and we also. The only tricky thing with this location, the only thing that didn't work right was that the ceiling was very low, which worked well for these setups, the earlier setups with the water sprinklers turning off, but it didn't work perfectly for the later shots where we wanted some sort of Bugsy Berkeley style, the camera bird's eye view exactly down, or the robot shot, whether we follow the pickle. It didn't work well for them, but this location, literally on another room, had this big open auditorium-y kind of space with a really tall ceiling. 2 of the shots we shot the bigger room, the taller room, and we just dragged that.
You tore it all down and then put it up in a different room and then did it again?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was birds. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember exactly how they scheduled it, but they made it work. The smart people made it work.
What about this shot here with like these glasses, the camera literally pushing through and breaking these glasses? Are those glasses really there?
Yeah. I mean, this shot was always, this is the shot I wanted to replicate. Really big fan of Evil Dead. I wanted to evoke the pickle energy through the camera, like it was rushing to these other people. This is the moment where we're kind of building up. Spirit is kind of traveling from one person to another. So I wanted to use the camera as kind of speaking to that. So and I always had it in my treatment of the camera rushing down the bar. And then we had some sugar glass made. There's a shot later where we have a table being like exploded. We have some sugar glasses on that and some breakable plates. And then I think on set we were just like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if the camera bashed through these sugar glass? And that's kind of how it kind of worked out. Watching him do it was very funny, because he just got the camera and slammed into these glasses and they just sort of shattered and went everywhere. Yeah. So that's practical. We shot that. Yeah.
That's so sick. I love that. So those glasses, the shot was planned obviously, but the glasses being in there was something you guys kind of improvised.
We did 2 takes at the end of us kind of doing that. Yeah. They built a rig to slide down the bar, but I think we saw it and we're like, oh, it's too high. The camera's too high. We need to get much closer to the base of the bar. We just got a bit of carpet and we just pushed the camera for those shots traveling down. And then also the shot of us pulling back with all their heads. So you can see it's just a bit of carpet, yeah.
Hey, what's going on here? I love the shot where everyone's just sliding their face on this bar here. But my question is like, what is this little piece of plastic doing?
Well, silicone will not slide down a bar. So we needed a bit of plastic between his prosthetic and the bar so it would actually, go.
That's right. That's not his real face.
Yeah, that was something we deleted in post. One of the testing days of the prosthetics is we tested it, on a table, and it just wouldn't move. His face wouldn't move. He was trying to push it, and it just wouldn't allow his face to move, which is kind of quite funny. Yeah. So we had a bit of plastic. Adam and Damien from Odd studios who built the prosthetic was very, when I showed them that in the rehearsal, they said, well, that person's not gonna be able to slide their head down the bar. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, the silicone just, it won't allow it to be pushed. So then I was like, well, what if I get a bit of acetate, a bit of plastic?
That's sick, man. That's a really fun anecdote there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's just go shot by shot here real quickly. What's going on here?
This shot, I couldn't actually crack the opening of the commercial. In the Shootomatic, I would just sort of start where the music started, and it took me a while to figure out how can we set up this bar, set up the geography, set up the characters, and then set up our hero in a very quick way. Because there's ways I could figure it out if we had 3 shots or even 4 shots, right? But doing it in a very time compressed way was quite tricky. I couldn't kind of figure out. After talking with Aaron and showing him the Pre-vis, his suggestion was well, why don't you do a sort of a slow kind of pan across the place? And then I think then we kind of worked out, okay, well then we could add a 70s style zoom, highlight the bar, see the geography, see some of the players, get that it's, a rough kind of bar. We used the zoom lens of 45 to 135. So we're dollying and then we're panning and then we're zooming. So we kind of added all those elements in so it kind of felt.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's the first shot of the thing. They have to have something in there to make people want to keep watching. And I think all those things together definitely do that. There's plenty to look at. What made this Pickle Wiggle? Is that a VFX thing, or did you guys have some practical?
Yeah, that's a VFX. That was an idea that we figured out in the edit. Jack and I would just be nice if it was wiggling here, because it only wiggled originally back in the jar. And then we were like, well, wouldn't it be cool if it wiggled? And because it was a 2D thing, we had Arc help us with that.
Yeah.
You always have this problem with ads. It's time, right? You just don't have enough time to do anything. Generally, right? And when I was pre-vising it, was trying to set up each character in a really unique way and then see the pickle energy pass on and pass on and pass on. So in that shot, it's nice seeing him kind of normal, and then he clearly gets it, and then he starts dancing, and then the camera language changes. And that's kind of really nice and what we needed to see. And then we did that with a few people later in the spot. You'll see some, these other people get it. And you kind of needed that to just sort of establish to the audience, okay, it's being passed on. And then sort of after that, and after a few of these moments, you then cut to them just dancing, but your brain's put it together that, okay, these people got the energy, the pickle energy, and then they've sort of then passing it on to each kind of person.
Yeah, I mean, once it's got the whole place, it's got the whole place. I love this shot here where you introduce 7 characters at the same time. I mean, let's just walk me through this one. I love this shot.
Well, this is part of that middle sequence which we could never really crack. We only nailed it on the last rehearsal. I'm a really big fan of the Blob, the film, and John Carpenter's The Thing. It just really came of that. I thought, okay, wouldn't it be funny if we have all these people sort of connected together and all their hands and limbs are sort of jutting out. And there was always a sequence of people coming from the courtyard, joining the crew, and a reveal of even more characters. It was that idea which we had sort of forgotten in the Pre-vis for a while, and then we sort of only cracked it right at the end. But it's kind of probably my favorite moment in the spot. We just called it the Blob, and the Blob would just sort of, burst open these doors. We had 2 people with fishing wire pulling it open.
Yeah, that's amazing. Your Steadicam operator was good. I mean, they all are. But to go that quickly forward and then in an instant that quickly backward, it's quite a move.
Yeah, I don't generally like yo-yo-y kind of movements. I always feel like, why would we go in and then go out? It's always something I dislike, but you don't even notice it. I think kind of just works perfectly. I don't notice it at all. Yeah,
you said an interesting thing. If this whole commercial just had been people dancing, I think 5-10 seconds into it, I would have probably checked out. But I think you did a good job of breaking it up.
I think the thing that the aspect that was really important in my treatment is that it wasn't just a music video with no story. There was definitely a story there, and passing on from character to character and different groups all coming together, and that convergence that happens sort of at the end of the spot was kind of important. And it was a sort of a journey to that kind of moment. It allowed us to do the sort of pop star thing at the end, made the front of the spot a bit more story based. Yeah.
Well, it's a great piece, man. I would be super proud of it.
Oh, thank you. Very nice.
Yeah, Jesse, this has been great, man. I really appreciate your time. This is a cool project, and I'm excited to see what you do next.
Hey, it's Dylan. Frameset did it again. They've added a new lane to the highway of speed. So unless your internet connection is trash, you can search, save, and share faster than ever. There's also this new thing called subsets. Like folders within a folder, you can organize any set by scene, technique, lighting style, you get it. Finally, we all know how important collaboration is when it comes to filmmaking. So now you can create a workspace, build sets together, and share your highly curated folders of inspiration to your DP, your director, your crew, your therapist, my therapist. Right now, FrameSet is focused on these incremental changes that make it easier and easier to develop your ideas before you shoot them. See exactly what I mean with the link below.